product owner versus product managers versus project managers versus you name it. I get the question all the time. Are these people all the same person? Are they different people? How do we know who they are? And it's a really interesting question, and it's a conundrum. And what I can tell you is, I think there's a lot of confusion because all the different groups call things by different titles, right? For example, let's just go with product owner for a minute. So with product owner, I've heard product manager, product evangelist, product supervisor, VP of product development, product lead. I could go down the list with you, right? So I think what's happening is people are starting to intertwine or misuse some of the terms. What they're doing is they're taking these terms, these names, and trying to get a blanket application or make the term specific to a methodology or a framework. And while it's good to have some delineation and separation, I think the overarching message should be that we need to understand what the goal is of each of these accountabilities, and we need to make sure that we have the accountabilities in line with the way that we're trying to do project management, whether it be Agile or anything else. So when you look for a job, for example, if you're searching on Indeed or any other site you choose, what you're going to see is that you'll see product owner, product manager, Agile project manager, Agile product manager. You'll just see a litany. And oftentimes you'll see that the person who listed it can use them interchangeably even, or used to describe the same person. Now, I'm not promoting or saying this is right, but what I am saying is that a lot of times they don't know what to call the person they're looking for. They just know exactly what they're looking for. So let's try to break down at least 2 or 3 of these so that way we'll get you in a better way by the end of this episode. So a product owner. Product owner tends to be mostly specific to a Scrum team, right? Product owners are in Agile, but they're more specifically, you might hear them referred to as other things outside of Scrum. This person focuses on creating a well-refined, clearly defined product backlog. And they focus on outcome and impact, maximizing value, keeping the backlog in order. They're responsible for looking for opportunities for value and making sure that the team can deliver on that value. Oftentimes we talk about the product owner and we say words like visionary, collaborator, decision maker. I would even go as far as to say master facilitator, because I think a lot of people, when we say the word facilitator, they jump straight to Scrum Master. But one might argue that the product owner facilitates way more than a Scrum Master does. They have to facilitate conversations with stakeholders, with leadership, with teams. So what I'm saying is oftentimes the product owner becomes the master facilitator. All right. So now that we've defined product owner, how does that differ from product manager? How does that differ? What changes? Well, a product manager is often described as a strategic thinker who focuses on the bigger picture. They're responsible for defining the product vision, a strategy, the roadmap, managing stakeholder expectations. So basically what I'm saying is oftentimes you get organizations that are large in size that put a product manager in place to manage the relationships between all of the different parties. And they manage the relationship with the leadership team, they manage the relationship with the stakeholders, which is great. And then they pass the work to the product owner in order for the product owner to govern a backlog. So in contrast to the PO, the product manager focuses on delivering business value rather than just meeting customer needs. So they're responsible for prioritizing features, allocating people, ensuring the product meets its goals. What I can tell you, here's a hint. I don't want to say it too loud because I don't want to give away the secret sauce. This sounds a lot like the reason why I promote the necessity of a BAFATA. If you have a business analyst that can focus on consumer needs, a functional analyst that can focus on strategic readiness, and a technical analyst that represents the team, you can usually get those 3 people together and get by with just a product owner. So you don't need the product manager to kind of be the overseer of all things Agile, right? Because that just to me doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Okay, and then that leaves project manager. So the project manager in traditional project management is responsible for coordinating anything relating to time, money, and people. And they also are responsible for organizing the work breakdown structure. So they're involved in full planning, execution, monitoring, This is almost exclusively a PMI role. If you're doing traditional project management, this is the PMP mastery role, right? So this person has dedicated their focus to delivery and not so much dedicated to organizing the work. So they're good at organizing the people and organizing the money, but they're not good at organizing the work. So it's one of these things where it sounds like to me the confusion is real because you have so many people who are trying to do different roles and responsibilities. So if we could get the overlap out of the way and we could say, okay, how are we going to solve this conundrum, this issue? Because it is an issue. The answer is actually quite simple. There's 2 steps to solve this issue. The first step is to understand that everything begins and ends with the product owner. Now, I don't care what title you give him. You can call him Gummy Bear 74, the Senior Vice Leader over Intergalactic, Interstellar. I don't care what you call the person, right? I don't care what their title is. What I care about is that they understand that their core responsibility is to create, define, and refine a well-maintained backlog that is easily consumable by a team. If you can get that definition down, you are good to go, and it doesn't matter what you call this person. The part about number 1 that you also have to remember is that no product owner should ever do this independently on their own. That the product owner should also have a team of, I'm going to call them advisors, who can give them information and recommendations, like a business analyst who can focus on the pulse of the consumer, attend focus groups, have conversation with training about what the customer is struggling with, or with support about what the customer is struggling with, and with trainers about things they're clamoring for, right? So you can just get all kinds of information if you surround yourself with the right people. But in the end, the ultimate decision still lies with the product owner. Number 2, you want to make sure that everyone understands that this is an accountability, right? Too often we have people who are in venues where they list off responsibilities. They list off and say, okay, here are the top 5 things or 6 things that you need to do. And that's great to get you started. But when you're actually in execution mode, you need to understand that the product owner is the greater facilitator, and that no matter what you call that person, that they have to follow the things that we just talked about in number 1, right? So you have to take a step back and decide that you're going to clearly delineate roles and responsibilities and understand the accountabilities of each person who's fulfilling those roles. And then number 3, if you're trying to get product ownership correct inside of your organization, you need to make sure you have clear, open lines of communication and a container where everyone feels psychological safety and they feel like they can use radical candor communication to speak with one another. If you can pull those things together, you could have product ownership that's incredible. So my hope is that you'll be able to take this information, and it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Just use the atomic habits method. Make micro changes, lots of small micro changes. And if you make those small micro changes and you push in the right direction, I can tell you right now that you're guaranteed to be successful with your Agile implementation. That's going to do it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have a topic you want us to talk about, learn more at AgileDad.com. I'd love to hear from you. As always, we encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time, do take care.